All right, well, it's getting towards the end of summer, and I hope everybody's still taking care of their tanks and still doing their tests and their water changes and everything. Having reef tanks can be expensive. Collectively, yeah, I have a lot of money tied up in my stuff, but it didn't happen overnight. And I usually try to go for the cheapest option that I can up front. Starting with some of my tips for saving money on reef tanks. Tip number one.
Tip number one.
Buying used equipment. That's either on Facebook or Craigslist or Reef to Reef. Look for people that are selling their tanks or selling their equipment. That's a really good place to start your search for looking for equipment. It's a lot of good buys. Somebody might be getting out of the hobby or not needing anything anymore. So buying used is a great way to get into the hobby and also support your hobby as well. So look for used equipment. Used equipment that I've bought in the past is tanks especially the larger tanks, but I'm not shy about buying used tanks. I personally like glass aquariums, so I'll take a look at the silicone and see if the silicone needs to be resealed. I don't worry about taking the whole thing apart, but I'll look in the corners and everything to make sure that they don't need to be resealed. I usually take my fingernail, and if that silicone peels off, then it gets resealed. Just like this one right here behind me, I did reseal this one. I didn't take it apart, but I took all the silicone out that I could see inside, and I redid the silicone on it. So that's something I look for with used tanks. But buying them used, you can get them a lot cheaper than buying them new. And buying things like used wave makers and used pumps, I'm sort of leery on that just for the fact that they don't have a warranty or anything. But personally, I mean, it's a personal choice if you want to do it or not. Just because things that are in the water, they corrode over time, or they don't work anymore. So that's something I kind of shy away from, is buying stuff that's been sitting in the water other than the tank, as far as buying used stuff. So usually with pumps and that, I'll buy new. But if you can find a great deal on something, don't be afraid to take a look at it and try it out. All right, moving along to tip number two.
Tip number two.
And that's to buy the cheaper equipment, such as Jabo or the things on Amazon, the cheaper equipment. That's not necessarily the name brand. Try those out. All of my aquariums have the Jabo returns on them, and I also use the Jabo wave makers because they work pretty good for me. They'll last for a few years, and then I'll replace them as necessary. Rather than buying one good brand name one and say it lasts for 8 years or whatever, it's still about the same amount of money maybe, but I don't have to pay it all up front. So it's kind of nice for me to just buy the cheaper stuff, and sometimes it lasts a lot longer too. Like the return pumps and that, they do pretty good. I'm really happy with the Jabo return pumps. Also, as far as lighting, there's better options for lighting nowadays. I started off with the Mars Aqua black box lights, and those work great. They just don't happen to make them anymore, and they're kind of big and boxy. I mean, they're like this, but if you can find some of those are cool. But they also sell like the Viper Spectra and the Noob Sykes now. Those are newer black box ones that people are giving good reviews on, so try those out too. But don't shy away from the off-brand stuff, because a lot of it is getting better in quality, and it may be a good place to save money on. So I suggest at least trying one out and see how you like it. All right, time for tip number three.
Tip number three.
That's to trade in with your LFS or some local reefers. If you have some coral or something else that you've accumulated, don't be shy about asking, hey, is there something I could trade you for that? Or just asking around. I know starting up, you're not going to have a lot of stuff, so that may not be an option for you. But as you get going, you start accumulating stuff, and don't be shy about asking your LFS, hey, would you accept these frags of coral for this pump or whatever, or some local reefers around you, they might do the same thing. So don't be afraid to barter with LFS owners or reefers, because they may be looking to deal with you. So that's something to keep in mind as well. All right, time for tip number four.
Tip number four.
And that's to buy things on sale, which should be a given for a lot of us, because none of us want to pay full price for anything. But just don't be too anxious to buy equipment and buy everything at once to not take advantage of sales. Sometimes there are really good sales on name brand equipment, and taking advantage of those sales can save you a lot of money, can save you hundreds of thousands. So I highly recommend, if you can, just hold off and wait for those sales. Typically, there's usually big ones around Christmas time in December, and usually around the end of reefing season, somewhere around this time, actually in the summer, sales slump because reefing's more of a winter hobby. So they try to perk up their sales. So you might find one in the summer as well. So anywhere around June, July, usually there's a sale there, and also in December. So definitely be looking for those. And sometimes you can couple those with rewards points or other things like that, or if your credit card has points, and you can save a lot of money doing that as well. All right, and now we're down to tip number 5.
Tip number 5.
That's to buy in bulk. Get together with some buddies and see if there's something you guys can buy as a group buy. Salt, equipment, anything like that. Sometimes you can get a better deal from your LFS. They may cut you a lot better deal than a retail price. So find some buddies that need something that you all buy, and get together and see what kind of deals you can get. That can really help save a lot of money. And as a bonus tip, what I like to do when I'm starting a new build is to not buy it all at once. I'll piecemeal it as I go. So that way, in the middle of the build, if I decide to change my mind on a pump or a light, I'm not sort of stuck with what I already bought. And plus, it allows you to take more advantage of the sales that come along. Because when you buy it, that might not be the cheapest price of the year, and then later on, you'll find an even cheaper price, and you wish that you would have took advantage of that. So if you can hold off and not be too excited about buying everything, I suggest going a little bit at a time, and you can save more money that way as well. And I want to take a moment to thank every one of you who watch this channel and who send me a message, and I appreciate all the comments and suggestions that you guys make. I'm just doing this for fun, and I really appreciate you guys reaching out when you do, and just saying hello, and that's why I do this, to sort of help out, but also get to know you guys and talk to you as well. So thank you very much. Well, that'll do it for this video. I'm Reefer Matt. Thank you for watching, and happy reefing.